If you have questions, please jump into the Discord. But one of the things that I created probably over the weekend, I woke up and I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to create a way. Because one of the things that I always constantly am I go to ChatGPT and I don't like writing functions. And it's usually a very easy thing that ChatGPT does a great job at. This is converting formats of JSON into another format. And so I found it's very, very useful in that situation. So today we're going to talk about how I created it. We're going to talk about how it's used and so forth. So first thing we're going to do is just kind of start a new thread, and that's how it works. And I apologize if I keep going on mute. My food's fighting me right now. So we're going to click on General, and we're going to create we'll say, demo of chat GPT integration with Node-RED, office hours, and so I'm going to just boom. And then I'm going to click create thread, and we're going to leave that as and say, hello world, and create the thread. Now that we've got the thread created, I created a new command, and I'm going to open up the editor real quick and get that so you can see everything. And you'll see, and I'll share this afterwards if people are interested in seeing it. Let me move this out of the way. I don't think we're going to have too much chat coming through. Nah, I feel like I need to leave it. No, we'll turn it off so if there's chat coming through from other sources. But basically what I'm going to be doing is I created a thread in our Discord server, and if I type in, hey bot, and I would just put a dash for my own. It's not necessary to do hey bot. And I'm going to say, hey bot, help me create a function within Node-RED, because I did put some parameters around to say, hey, we're using ChatGPT API with assistant. The key thing is we're using assistants, which I've pre-canned instructions about who the assistant is. It's like one of the things you do with ChatGPT is say, hey, act like a editor for the New York Times or something like that. So what we're going to do is basically, hey bot, help me create a function within Node-RED that will calculate all the prime numbers between 100 and 1,000 and load them into a message into message.payload into message.payload as an array. So perfect. Now it just adds the bot, so we see this thread only works, and okay, that means I messed something up. Hey bot. Oh, I think I messed something up. I gotta check something. So I need to. I haven't used this in a little bit, but what we'll do is we need to create another and say otherwise. I haven't used this, so we'll fix that real quick. Otherwise, done, and check if in thread. It is in thread. Interesting. Not in thread. So how did it answer both directions? Because we got an answer and then it said it was not in thread. What? I don't get it. Oh well, we'll worry about that later. We'll just keep on moving forward. So the way this works is it runs the question, it checks to see if it's in thread. Sure, and then basically one of the biggest things that I added with this is it has what is the word that I'm looking for? It keeps threads. So the way ChatGPT is, every single time you open up a new ChatGPT, let's say like question, like area where you're gonna start asking questions, like a new conversation, I have matched these conversations to the conversations inside of the thread, so it keeps them in line and in sync. What that means is now let's say I want to update and say, bang, hey bot, can you now do a function that will add them all together? I don't know. And so now it's going to write the function, then add it all together and press enter because it knows the previous question that I've asked. I'm really kind of curious why it says it's checking in thread. I need to put a debug node right here. And there we go. Let's get another question here in a second. And because why is it saying it's check thread? And yeah. But so now anybody can come in here and start asking questions. So let's just say Chris is sitting here. He can come in and say, hey, this is a really cool way of answering this question. One of the things that I can include in this later is documentation. So if we go over to assistance, ChatGPT assistance, and assistance overview, API. I hope I don't show my API. We go to assistants, how they work. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen just for a second so like I don't show something I don't want to show. So I can find it. And I'm going to go to, I don't want to show you my organization ID or anything like that. Dashboard, that's what I wanted. Okay, now I can share my screen. All right, so within the dashboard, you go into assistants. And this is where you create your assistant. And in this particular case, I've got a Node-RED Discord bot. That's what I called it. And I've got my parameters and instruction sets for this particular bot. And I have all the model. I'm using just GPT 3.5 Turbo because it's cheaper. But what I can also do in the future is add files. So these files can be documentation you want the GPT to use in its answering of questions. You can also change some of the like different type of things like file search, maybe the response temperature. I can't remember what all these here. I guess we can highlight controls randomness, lowering it and less random completions. As temperature approaches zeros, the model will become deterministic and repetitive. So it just answers it very literally without like much variance, where if you change the temperature to higher numbers, it becomes like what they refer to as like hallucinations, where it'll be like kind of hallucinating answers that aren't real. So that's where you kind of play with that. And again, you should always be able to understand exactly what these things are doing, kind of review them, kind of have questions. And one of the things that you can also do is like put in JSON, say, hey, message, and then so let's say you so this is when I would create a new thread. And you can do this all within. And one of the things that I like about this is, and why I wanted to include it and why I found value in including in Discord, is because a lot of people struggle with this aspect of it. Sometimes you just got to get down into the low code aspect. So we get a lot of questions like, how do I do this? How do I do that? I'm like, well, this is the key. This is going to help you kind of bridge that gap. And then when you go into something like Discord, it'll help other people help you. So let's say somebody came in and asked a question and you're like, how about it's like kind of like teaching someone to fish, and especially with low code, it really kind of helps you it's like, oh, I can ask this in ChatGPT. And remember, always make sure, depending on privacy, you don't put any information you do not want public. Anybody can see these threads. Keep that in mind. I'm probably going to include that in the instruction set at some point to say, hey, if this seems like private information, say, hey, please do not include private information unless you confirm that it is not private information. But one of the ways that you can also use this and say, so we'll just keep it going in this, hey, bot, I have a new question for you. So it should kind of not think about the previous conversations. In theory, I have a message that looks like this. And I'm going to jump over here to, let's say, FlowFuse dashboard 2.0. And we're going to switch over to FlowFuse Node-RED Professionals. And when I go over here, whoop, that's not what I wanted to click on. Dashboard 2.0. One of the things that I struggle with is formatting things for dashboards and visualizations. It kind of gets a little bit complex at times. So I'm going to switch over here to Docs. And we're going to go, we'll select a chart, because that's always what we always want to do, is create a chart. UI chart. And you look at these structures. And you say, I need to put something, okay, this is a really good way of, I want to have the data presented. On the data structure, say nested data. So let's say payload, topic, and let's find one that's a little bit, make sure we can do it. Okay, so let's say payload message.payload value, or let's say like this. Okay, cool. Let's rephrase this. I'm saying, hey, I have a question. I have a new question for you. I want to make a new chart in Node-RED that allows me to check whether over the past 7 days the data structure needs to look like this. Can you also create a function to generate data for me? Perfect. So now we're going to ask this question. Let's make sure it's doing things over here. But see now, okay, so it answered it. That's so weird. I'll have to figure out what's going on with that and why it's like saying like this only works in threads. I'm like, I know it only works in threads, but how are you checking in? Check all the rules. So I need to figure out. Yeah, I reordered this, and maybe that's what I should do is just say boom, and that's part of my thing. So I'll worry about that later. Basically, I reordered it because I didn't like the order of these kind of popping out of here. Made it look cleaner, but now it's got a chart here, and we're gonna create a new tab. And say you can use this function to generate sample weather data for the past 7 days in Node-RED. It creates an array of perfect. Okay, so we'll copy this, and we're gonna put it in inject node, and then we're gonna put a function node in there, and we'll paste that. Just making sure I don't hear anything, and then we're gonna put a chart node right here. And we're gonna add a new group. We create a new page. I'm gonna call this page 2 and say demo, and add dashboard page 2, and this group name is going to be, we'll call it temperature demo chart, and add, and then done. I'm gonna deploy that, and I'm going to make sure this works. Deploy and enter. So perfect. So now we got some data. Object temperature humidity. Cool. And we're going to go into this and say, okay, my x-axis, we're going to make this a line chart. My x-axis is, so I think it's message.payload.x, and then message dot payload dot y dot temperature. And again, I'm just doing this flying by this, and the message is not going to be topic. It's going to be, we're just going to get a string and say temperature. Temperature. And I think that's all we need for now. We're going to click deploy. And if I go back over here and I click dashboard, I've got a demo temperature Discord. Perfect. So now let's come over here and we're going to just deploy this. And it didn't work. I love it. Okay. I'm going to come over here and stop this. Okay. I guess I'm getting confused because it's creating a whole bunch of content over here that I don't want. All right. So let's see how this looks. Maybe I should just do Y. Yeah, message to payload.y. And it might even just be payload.y. I always forget. Okay, so let's just look at this one real quick on how message. X. Okay, yeah, XY. Okay, I messed up. It's just X, Y. And then series is key, I think it's Y. And then done, deploy. Let's see how that works. Let's see how that works. Ooh, that did not do what we wanted to do. Okay. Let's go back to string, temp and humidity, and click done, deploy. Let's see how it works out now. Okay, so we have temp and humidity. And why is that not working? Pathway. We're going to do y.temp. Temperature. And done. Deploy. Enter. Let's go. There we go. So that's a little bit more chaotic than I wanted it to be. So let's figure out what we did wrong. I wonder, X is our time chart and Y is our X is time. Yep. Yeah. It looks like it's not rendering the time the way it needs to be. So what we can do now is say, bang, hey, bot, can you give me temperature in the, I'm going to say, epoch time? Here it goes. There we go. We'll just come in here now, and we're going to adjust this function and deploy chart. Okay, so we need to also reset what this change function, and we're going to set that to message.payload is a JSON object. Array deploy, so it kind of clears things out for us. Okay. Perfect. Yep. Temperature is 15. Perfect. That's exactly what I should be saying. Okay, so Y, X, No, I'm just curious about why it's not showing my chart. Because everything should be working. Key is y dot. Let me just copy this value. Make sure that I'm writing it down correctly. Because I might have misspelled temperature. No. All right, well, we're going to figure this out. Yeah, that's right. And chart. So we have x-axis is last 1 hours. Let's do days. Let's do 7 days. Make sure we're not messing up something here. And then line, action, replace, chart, point, key is y dot temperature, and deploy. This quick demo turned into a lot more of an exercise, didn't it? But, okay, well, that's unfortunate that I'm not figuring this out. This is textbook stuff. X, Y, dot temperature. Let me look at this one real quick. And let's just drop. I want to look at one more thing over here. It says key, yeah. We're doing series key. What in the heck? Anyways, well, we'll move on. I'll figure this out later. It's probably something that I am just entirely missing. It should be pretty much just working. I want to look at I'm going to do one last thing. I want to see what this data point looks like when I run it. And we'll turn that off and deploy it. And I want to make sure payload is object X and Y. It looks like it's struggling with the time format. It's just not putting it in the format that's the correct time format. So that's what it is, and it doesn't know how to plot it. So it's probably not epoch time. It's probably some other format that is like readable that I'm struggling with. So moving on. That's what our issue is. But the thing is what I wanted to get back to is kind of how this threading works is it allows you to come in here and start asking questions, makes it easy. If you want a copy of this, I'm probably going to be putting this on flows.node-red.org, I think, flows.node-red.org. Maybe we can do that right now. Show you how Node-RED flows, and what we'll do is we'll just add it now. Actually, we should fix it first. Let's fix it first. There is a couple of things that you'll need. You'll need the Discord. Let's look at our managed palette. You'll need the Node-RED contrib Discord advanced. And then you'll also need the Node-RED contrib string. What this does is if you, for some reason, ask a question that has special characters in them, it'll escape it appropriately. During the API calls, which happens right here, which is the loading of the message, where it puts the message you typed inside of your Discord chat and sends it to the API call of the ChatGPT assistant. It makes sure that it formats it and decodes it so you don't have any issues. So if you put like an HTML string in there, it will mess up the API call and send it over. So that's what, and maybe that's what we can do now, is just go a little bit over about what this does. Maybe we can figure out why this Discord typing is not a thread and why we're getting issues there, because it's otherwise is basically it answers otherwise first. And we're just going to switch those around, and that should solve our problem, and we shouldn't have any problems. So, hey, bot, respond with the a complete flow. So I can import. Make sure I click deploy over here, and then I bet you I don't get that bot typing. Yeah, we're good. That was just the order. I switched those because it looked better, and then I never tested it. And it was just hitting otherwise, and if you do otherwise first, it's going to be like, yeah, I am good, so therefore we're fine. I apologize. The limitation of my current environment, which restricts me from providing a complete flow for you to import directly. However, I can guide you through setting it up. Okay, that's fine. I didn't really care about the answer. And basically make sure it's not in the thread. So we're checking to make sure in the Discord, we're looking at channel.type when we get the information, the first response from every single time somebody writes a message. It needs to be in a type 11, which means it knows it's in the thread. If it's not in the thread, it says, can't continue. Sorry, buddy. Out of luck. And then what we do is we check to see if a thread has been created. That's what this function does, and it gives me an array. We can go look at the context store. Oh, here, cancel. We'll go flows. How do I get you to come out? Why are you not allowing me to click on you? There it goes. And then we go to context data, and I click on global. We now have this my array that allows me to see all the threads that have been created and tagged. And this is how I do a one-to-one linking on, let's say, my Discord channel and my assistant. So my assistant is the assistant thread is the thread that ties into ChatGPT. And then my Discord channel ID is the thread that's inside of the Discord thread. So therefore, I do a lookup to see if it exists. And if it does exist, then I want to capture that information. And then I'm going to skip the create a thread process. And the create thread process is in Flowfuse in check create thread in ChatGPT. GPT. Create thread in GPT, and then from here we're starting formatting the payload. So this payload is the message that we have coming through here. So like, hey bot, respond. That's loaded there from, and then I grab the name of who created, which in this particular case is Node Gray, and so that it makes it a little bit more of a personalized message. But like, hey Node Gray, and I think I might have done that in the very first one. It said, hey, no grade, sure. Just a little personalization. And then it creates. So if it has not created a thread, it creates a thread, and then adds it to the global context. So then it adds it once it's created a thread. This is the API call. So we have assistant. That's my assistant information inside of the GPT, which matches to right here, my assistant ID, in which you can edit that all there. And then adds it to global context. It changes to rules. So basically this is where we're going to start saving in the assistant ID so we can prepare ourselves for the loading of the message. And the message is the part that we write over here on the left hand side. It loads the message and then we need to tell it to run the message, because I guess maybe there's times when we might do multiple loading of messages, like hey, do this, and then you can have it run, and it basically returns a run ID, and then we immediately run to see how it's doing, and then check run if it's complete and return value. So that's what this is doing, is cycling through the run. Say, have we completed the run? Have we completed the run? Have we completed the run? We've completed the run. Get the response, and then send it into our response. The message gives us a debug output. Okay, caution. The last one that we have down here is a clears the global context. So what we see right here is the global context, and it clears it. So another thing to keep in mind, if you ever, this probably shouldn't be done in the global context. I should probably save it somewhere else, but I didn't want to depend on another tool like let's say SQLite or something like that to save it permanently. So I've just used the context store. If you restart, the global context goes away. So keep that in mind. This should be on something that doesn't restart. I feel okay putting it here because I know it's going to just continue running and there's no reason it should restart. So it's not a big deal for me. I'm also going to go up here and we're going to delete this. And done. Deploy. So basically that's filtering out, and that's what the first one does, is it does a regular expression to match hey bot. So if you ever wanted to create a new regular expression for the beginning of it, it can be this hey bot can be anywhere inside of the string here. So it doesn't even have to be in the very beginning like I have it here. It's just something that you can do. It's just looking for that to know that it's saying, hey, ask me a question. And that's the general thought behind this. And I just wanted to make it a way also as people start asking questions, the Discord community starts getting a little bit more active. If people are they have a question, I'm like, hey, you know what, this might be a good one to ask ChatGPT, help you out, give you some answers and so forth. So I hope the community finds this interesting and fun. I'll get this up on Flows. Oh, now that I've fixed this, we can get this up on flows.google.com. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add a new flow. And we're going to call this Chat GPT assistant to Discord integration leveraging threads. So we'll just kind of build this out. So this, actually I wrote something in one of the other Discords. I'll probably capture that in a second. Let me see if I just grab that. Just give me a second. There we go. And we'll just click edit. Perfect. We'll just paste that here and we'll edit it. And here is how it works. Put 2 here. How you have to create a thread in Discord. It gets cluttered if everyone is getting questions in the main channel. It creates a thread with the API and ties that ChatGPT thread to the Discord thread. This allows for continued conversation to ask a question. Type hey bot, then your question. Grabs messages and processes the flow. Guides I used. Nodes required. These got all the nodes required. Steps to implement. Add your API key token, and then we're gonna have to grab our flow, in which we can do that real quick. I do have to take some of these things out though, because I don't want people to have my assistant ID that I do have hard coded in there, which I could probably make a little bit cleaner. But for now, we're just going to copy that current flow. I guess I didn't have to do that and just say download. Perfect. And then I'm going to turn my screen off just for a second while I pull this up. Downloads, flows.json, edit with Notepad++. Perfect. And I can share my screen again. And what we're going to do is do Control F and assist. I think it's like assist. And there we go. ASST _ that's my assistant. And we're going to replace with assistant info here. Replace all. Wait. I did not want to do that, but that's okay. We're going to look for this now. And we're going to find this and replace all. Find. Oh. There we go. Replace all. And now, perfect. So now I can copy all this. Go back over to flows. We're going to drop our flows in here. And we're going to say Discord. I think it's a space chat GPT space assistants chat GPT underscore assistant. No, that'll be good. And now, if I look how it works, you have to create a thread in Discord. It gets cluttered if everyone tries to do their own thing. Guides I used. I can clean that up real quick. Look, guides I used. Guides. And then Discord bot. Discord bot. Setup. And then ChatGPT assistants. And there we go. Now we have, okay, that does not like that. Guides I used. What we'll do is we'll put guides I used here. I think it's upset about my shift return. Let's see how it works now. Guides I used, Discord bot assistants. Nodes required. I'm probably upset about I love shift return just because I use it way too much. And then nodes required. Perfect. I wonder if I should link those. So node red flows. And let's just copy this one real quick. Let me put 3 here as well. Cool. Copy that one. If I wonder if I... Nope. I always forget. I think it's open bracket. And if a preview, then we'll get... That's not what I was expecting. Maybe it's the other way around. And then it's open bracket. Preview. It doesn't seem like it's rendering. We'll just leave it as is. And we'll call that Discord setup. Oh, I was looking at the wrong thing. My brain. I'm pretty sure it was brackets. And then square brackets. And then we'll look at the preview again. Yep, that's clickable. And then we'll do the same thing with this one. Close that up. Now we just need to find the link to this one. And this is a really cool tool to use. I would recommend finding it and kind of giving it a... There it is right here. And we'll do the same for this. Discord bot setup. Lock. I'm sure you guys are just thrilled with Markdown right now. Just glad you're figuring out how this all works, right? And then we'll preview it. So there we go. Discord bot setup, ChatGPT assistant, advanced steps to implement, add your API key for each things. Steps to complete. Add one dot period. Add your and three dot. I think that should make it look a little bit better. Perfect. Steps to implement. Great. And we'll go ahead and create flow. There you go. So if people are wanting this, it's now available. I'll drop this into the chat. So now you have flows. If you're wanting to give it a shot, you got it. Awesome. Probably going to be a little bit of a shorter stream today. We started late and just going to have a little bit of fun, get that setup shared with everybody. Didn't see any questions come through, so until next time, we'll see you. Give it a shot. Come join the Discord if you're interested, and we'll see you next time. Ooh, an exciting thing coming up. I just got off the call with Joe. Joe is going to be doing a crash course into building dashboards with FlowFuse. Dashboards 2.0 with Node-RED. It's going to be, I think, July 2nd at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1700 CET. So looking forward to having everybody there. It's going to be, we'll have more details on the website either today or tomorrow. But we figured some people are really just kind of curious, like, hey, can we get a crash course and then go from there? But all right, everybody. Well, we'll see you next time, and thanks for joining.